You ever hear Monster?
No.
Japanese fighter called Monster.
Inoue scared me.
Naoya Inoue is the greatest boxer of our generation. Despite his small size, he has impressed legends such as Mike Tyson.
This is a monster. The mean son of a bitch.
He's down again, and right hand hurts him. Oh, a huge right hand.
However, with his legendary status as the Japanese phenom, many arrogant fighters have tried whatever it takes to get under his skin.
I see me wiping him out clean. He's too small for me. He's too short.
I can't pronounce his first name. I just call him Inoue, yeah.
Has he really been tested? Like, all his fights been in Japan. Half of them were at 108. Fighting guys that stand right in front of him. Everything went his way. He's at home.
But in this video, you will see that karma has its debtors.
And a big right hand that comes in.
And that the Japanese Naoya Inoue punished every single one of them. Get ready, as you're about to witness Naoya Inoue's most brutal knockouts, driven by revenge. This is fighting, is art. Let's go! He called Inoue too short.
I see me wiping him out clean. He's too small for me. He's too short.
He said Inoue would be easy work.
I've been in the ring with guys like him. Trust me. Even down back to my amateur days.
That Inoue was just another Japanese hype job.
I feel like the hype is around amongst him because he's a Japanese person doing these things. That's all. I feel like the hype is around because of that.
And worst of all, accused him of cheating in front of millions in Japan.
Because I refuse to let my fighter get in the ring with someone that has loaded gloves. This is not something that I'm making up. I have proof. And I have it in my phone that I have proof.
Stephen Fulton was as elite as it got within his division.
122-pound champion to kick off.
And when he captured his first major title in a war with Angelo Lee, we all knew that he was a force to be reckoned with.
Cool boy, Stephen!
He then went on to defend that WBO title and unify it by stealing Brandon Figueroa's WBC belt shortly after. And it was a gritty affair and performance that showcased Fulton's levels.
A jab.
Ahead of fight night, Inoue's hand wrap ceremony was watched intensely by Fulton's team, as they made sure that nothing suspicious was going on. With the proof that Inoue's hand wraps were legal, no excuses remained, only the fight. With nowhere to run and nowhere to hide, Fulton would soon be made to eat his words. This was a bout of real pound for pound proportions. Both men occupied a spot in the top 10, and each was in the middle of staking their claim at legitimate greatness. There was an unmistakable tension in the air. Questions would be answered, and one of these men would emerge as a real contender to the pound for pound throne. The energy in the arena was reaching a fever pitch as these two warriors stared each other down for the final time before the punches started flying. The pair were never going to go all out in the very first round, and as expected, they used these opening minutes to gauge each other's timing and engage in a footwork battle. Inoue loves nothing more than piling the pressure on his opponents, but given that he was facing off against a bigger man, he did need to be wary of Fulton's power. Of the two, he was clearly the more confident and aggressive fighter, and the crowd were losing their minds each and every time he attempted to land. Fulton obviously knew he was up against it in this fight, but even he must have been surprised at how quickly Inoue was comfortable taking the fight to him. It wasn't all-out offense just yet, but Inoue, as this round wore on, you could see him starting to get a feel for Fulton's rhythm. It wasn't all-out offense just yet. But Inoue, as this round wore on, you could see him starting to get a feel for Fulton's rhythm. It was by no means a dominant round, but momentum was clearly on Naoya's side. Would round 2 be any better for the champion Fulton, or would the monster continue to carve out his advantage? Well, it was clear that Inoue was starting to feel himself here, loosening up in his movement and causing some frustrated looks from Fulton and his corner. The blitzing offense of Inoue was very clearly proving difficult for Fulton to anticipate. The rhythm disruption on display was truly excellent. His opponent just couldn't react fast enough. Remember, this was a smaller fighter in Inoue, coming up and challenging a bigger champion who had a pound-for-pound level resume. So far, he was making it look easy. Inoue was fighting like he was the bigger man here, and it was very noticeably having an effect on Fulton's confidence, which was already looking surprisingly shaky for a second round. Whenever Fulton tried to get any of his own punches to land, Inoue masterfully evaded them, proving that his own defense was just as potent as his defense. Naoya's accuracy is just as much of a weapon as his punching power, and whenever he truly committed to a punch, he barely missed. Inoue's ability to explode into range and land multiple shots was something that Fulton and his team no doubt expected, but that doesn't make it any easier to stop. Fulton needed something to change. But unfortunately, the only thing that would improve in this bout was Inoue's ability to pile on the pressure. Fulton's claims about loaded gloves seem childish now. Loaded gloves don't make you fall this far behind in a fight. Inoue was simply proving that he was the better man. Even as Fulton landed, Inoue was quick to punish him directly after, taking every ounce of Fulton's momentum and making it his own. For an undefeated fighter like Fulton, he had clearly never experienced something like this under the bright lights before. Inoue was jabbing this guy to hell, popping clean on the face whenever he had the chance. Fights in the ring are fought on many different levels and ranges. And here, Naoya was winning everywhere. Inoue was surprisingly content to invite pressure too, noting that he very clearly had several key advantages over Fulton. Inoue, in this round, began to work on Fulton's body as well, hammering the midsection, giving him more and more problems to think about. Inoue was very noticeably finding his flow, and it became clear that we were watching him putting on the greatest performance of his career to date. Considering the level of his opposition here, the fact that he was so dominant so early was pretty shocking. Fulton was less than 10 minutes into this fight, and yet he needed to change his fortunes immediately or suffer an embarrassing loss. Unfortunately for him, Inoue was about to make his life even worse, from this point in the fight onwards. Fulton surely knew at this point that the hype was real on this guy. You can't fake this kind of dominance. He was getting utterly bitten in the feinting game here too, which really didn't help things. His footwork and rhythm were already getting rayed by his opponent. Trust us, Inoue still has a few gears left to reach, but this round 4 performance was clearly showing off his levels. The bigger shots that Inoue were going for were still falling short, but only barely. Despite him being the bigger man, Fulton was definitely not able to muscle his way through his challenge. You could tell that Naoya was ready to turn up the heat and go all out, but for now, he was content to merely intimidate Fulton whenever he could. Round 5 came, and it was clear that Inoue was winning 4 rounds to nothing. And coming into this one, he was very noticeably looking to step up the pace, seeing if he could punish Fulton's cardio as well as his body. Hit and don't get hit is a key element of every great boxer's fighting philosophy, and Inoue was executing that perfectly here. Inoue was very clearly starting to style on him now, and Fulton was beginning to resemble a punching bag more than anything else. Just in that moment, Fulton managed to land his best shot of the fight so far. Fulton was now approaching the halfway point, and it didn't seem like his chances of winning were getting any greater. Round 5 proved to be yet another largely unsuccessful round for Fulton. There was a different intensity to Inoue coming into round 6. Fulton had called his integrity as a fighter into question, which is a pretty serious thing to do to an opponent. And you could tell that Inoue wanted to show this man and the world exactly how great he is. Make no mistake, Fulton deserved to get punished for the things that he and his coach said, because when it comes to a fighter like Inoue, his reputation as a fighter means something. To his credit, Fulton did fight on, albeit in a losing effort. For a star like Fulton, getting owned like this is the type of ego killer that might forever change his career trajectory. The end of round 6 represented another round spent chasing the greatness of the monster. The question now was just how long Fulton could handle getting thoroughly outclassed like this. Inoue hadn't quite landed anything devastating just yet. But trust us, that was coming soon. Fulton's own offense was amounting to very, very little, and you could see Inoue biding his time, waiting for the right moment. But like the excellent that he is, Fulton still found his moments of success, although they would be short-lived. Inoue was really starting to sit down on his punches now, aiming to put a real hurting on his target. Inoue's confidence was starting to peak here, and he continued to walk Fulton down, determined to punish him for every lie he had spoken in the media. We're sure that Fulton respected the skills of Inoue before fighting him. But now, the gap in talent between them now was inarguable. Fights are not won and lost on body language, but you really cannot understate how dejected Fulton was starting to look, incredibly dejected out there. Unfortunately for Stephen, Fulton Junior Round 8 would be the round that would spell his doom, bringing his undefeated record to an almighty halt. Fulton was already beat, he just didn't know it yet. But Inoue was mere seconds away from making his hopelessness crystal clear. And then, out of nowhere, the biggest punch of the fight by some distance, Inoue cracked Fulton clean and put him down to the canvas for the first time.
Nice big hand lands and down for 8. That was textbook. He jabbed down.
To his credit, Fulton stood up from this barrage and managed to recover, but any chance of a comeback was completely gone.
Multiple times in this fight. 2 minutes left.
Naoya Inoue is called the Monster for a reason. And boy, does he know how to finish an opponent when he has them stunned. Eventually, the referee knew that this was only going to end one way, and so he did the merciful thing and called this one off. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the hallmark of a truly great era-defining fighter. He took another top-level fighter deep into the fight and then finished him.
2 minutes left in the round. Can Inoue get this stoppage here in round 8?
Once Inoue has you hurt, you truly are in trouble. And boy does he know how to close a show when the opportunity comes. A pound-for-pound worthy victory. By the time he was 13-0,
That destructive, decisive power does it again!
Naoya Inoue had already pushed his career just about as far as it could go on Asian soil. This was a fighter who had already captured titles at flyweight and junior bantamweight. And it was clear that he was still getting better. All that awaited him now was a fresh challenge on new soil. Antonio Nieves was the man tasked with welcoming Inoue to the United States. And with his pristine technical skills and solid power, he came in very confident. He seemed to believe that he held the key that would unlock a weakness in Inoue's armor.
113.
But after dominating Asia, Inoue was ready to announce himself to the entire world. Nieves seemed to think he knew something that everyone else didn't.
Has he really been tested? Like, all his fights been in Japan. Half of them were at 108. You know, fighting guys that stand right in front of him. You know, everything went his way. You know, he's at home.
But the skills Inoue showed in Japan were about to be presented to a US market, and Neves would be proven very, very wrong. He was about to learn a lesson about boxing levels he would never forget. Antonio Nieves messed with the wrong fighter, that's for sure. Inoue is like a fighting supercomputer, and though he wasn't immediately hunting for the kill, he was clearly gathering data. In many ways, the pressure was on Inoue to show up and perform in his US debut, but he appeared composed in the opening exchanges.
There's the classic 1-2 again. He says his best punch.
With power like the monster's, a fight is only ever a matter of seconds away from being drastically altered.
Of course, exactly what he's supposed to say.
But for this one, Inoue would need time to put his ultimate plan into motion.
Those who have seen him and followed him have been saying such glowing things.
Neves was already getting a sense of just how good his opponent was. But in this opening round, he was only seeing a small percentage of what Inoue was capable of. Whether this fight was fought at range with the jab or up close and personal, Inoue was the one leading the dance. Neves hadn't really made his mark on this fight just yet. And his attempts to go punch for punch with Inoue was just about as bad an idea as you might expect.
Good 1-2 by Inoue.
The more this one went on, the more you can see just how effective Inoue's ability to anticipate and counter was.
Inoue throws with the power is obvious. Inoue hits.
Naoya was already finding his rhythm in round 2.
Knockdown scored against him, although he says it wasn't because of a punch.
Neves was not getting hit with anything too devastating just yet, but momentum was definitely against him here. You can tell when Inoue starts to have fun with his opponents out there, which is almost always a bad sign. Inoue clearly took home those 2 rounds and was beginning to show the signs of a champion's swagger coming into round 3. For those in attendance, they were no doubt enjoying this new attraction's skill set.
The punch as it was traveling through the air to give it a little bit lift over.
Neves was starting to understand just how badly this could go for him here, and his output started to decline, and fast. Inoue's ability to land a variety of shots from a variety of ranges was leaving Neves with no idea of what was coming next. Who knows when the exact point came where Neves began to realize he had underestimated his opponent, but surely it must have been in those middle rounds. There wasn't a single person in that arena who didn't see that Neves was out of his depth. Accuracy was the name of the game for Naoya here. Neves clearly needed one big punch to change the course of this fight, but that's easier said than done.
It's not time yet, right?
Make no mistake, Inoue was ahead, but Neves was still giving it a shot.
The CEO of the banking company made clear that he's aware of the kid.
How do you increase your own offensive intensity without leaving yourself open to big counters?
They can open some defense with a left hook to the body like that.
Neves was getting a little messy with his attacks too, which is never a good idea. And with hope running out, Neves was already in a pretty bad spot. Even though he tried to make the fight ugly, it just ended up suiting Inoue even more.
In the middle of this very energetic card where we saw.
And the monster began to sit down on his shots a little more in this round.
And if he scores a knockout here pretty soon, maybe he can do that. But what I don't think Inoue.
Plus, he always made a point of putting on a show for the crowd whenever he could.
He can face him and lands a body shot on an authority. 1 or 2 more of those he could end this.
But the first truly devastating punch of the fight was not far away.
There where he can face him and lands a body shot on an authority. 1 or 2 more of those he could end this.
We were seeing Naoya go into hunter mode.
Another body shot with the left hook. That one hurt Neves as well.
Neves was clearly in panic stations now, as he realized that the hype around this guy certainly was real.
Left hook.
But his doom would not come about until round 6.
But I don't see the point in this contest continuing.
If you've watched Inoue before, you'll know that he's basically one of the most lethal finishers in the entire sport.
Prey in front of him, so he's going to continue to throw.
When this guy knows he has you hurt, he's damn near impossible to stop from sealing the deal. Neves was looking quite shaken, and in this state, he couldn't escape from Naoya's advances. Once again, the showmanship of this Japanese fighting icon came to the fore.
And then come back to it.
This was a clear example of a fighter hitting his flow state. Inoue's full-on assault on Neves' body and head was truly in full swing.
He is getting hammered here.
Thankfully, just as the damage appeared to be getting into dangerous territory, the corner of Antonio Neves made the smart move of saving their fighter from an even worse fate. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what happens when you try to belittle one of the most lethal fighters on the planet. Being from Japan, many Western fighters make fun of Inoue for not being from one of the popular boxing nations. Well, in 2018, this British fighter in particular tried to ridicule the Japanese fighter's name, acting as if the monster's 5-letter name was too difficult to pronounce.
I can't pronounce his first name, I just call him Inoue, yeah.
Well, in just a few minutes, he will know more about the Japanese than he had hoped for. At the onset, the 6-foot Brit was wary of the monster and he tried to keep it long with jabs. But it didn't take long for Naoya to find pockets through the range of McDonald and introduce himself. Once the monster started connecting cleanly, the British immediately realized what he was facing. What followed was the fury in Inoue in full display. If he couldn't pronounce the Japanese fighter's name, he was now familiar with the monster he was facing in the ring. After a barrage of brutal shots against the ropes, the second knockdown was the end of the fighters getting to know each other, and McDonald could write a chapter about the monster he faced that night.
Jamie McDonald has been blown away by Naoya Inoue. He's been slain by the monster, and that was the referee has jumped in.
Champion a third separate weight division now, but we must talk about.
You feared the worst. Yeah, cold.
Now going for more belts. In the bantamweight division, Inoue faced the most disrespectful of his opponents, Emmanuel Rodriguez, a guy with an all-time and uncrackable chin who felt his encounter with Inoue would go differently than all of Inoue's previous opponents. At the pre-fight workouts, Rodriguez's trainer aggressively shoved Inoue's father, Shingo Inoue, who is also Inoue's trainer. Inoue stood with his arms folded, knowing he would unleash hell on his fighter in 24 hours. At the face-offs, Inoue's vengeful intentions could be seen. Emmanuel Rodriguez had officially run out of places to hide. His day of reckoning had come, and the world was tuning to see it happen. And to this credit, Rodriguez went straight out there, took the center of the ring, and tried to put pressure on the monster.
Kind of getting things done quickly. And we having a look here. Rodriguez started coming forward.
He looked confident in there with Inoue, but that was only because he hadn't felt the Japanese champion's power yet.
Inoue, all concentration, all business. 88% knockout against 15 knockouts. Hasn't needed to fight that.
There was a clear speed advantage for Naoya here too, which he used both offensively and defensively.
Rodriguez took it, gritted on his gum shield and came back.
Inoue wanted a firefight in there. He wanted his rival to understand the extent of his team's mistake.
Close and personal. It's a
Naoya was in total control of the distance in round one, and he was clearly finding a home for his jab early.
Comes forward.
Inoue was happy to welcome the pressure too, allowing Rodriguez to test his defense before firing back.
The one and Inoue just
The way Inoue sets up that left hook with his other punches is a thing of beauty, and Rodriguez was immediately struggling to deal with it. But the idea of him going out there and blasting through Rodriguez in just one round was not going to happen as easily as he might have thought.
Two unbeaten world champions.
Emmanuel was in the fight, and clearly comfortable on the inside with Inoue, or at least he was for now. It was a closely contested round, sure, but Inoue was just biding his time, making his reads and setting his traps.
The right hand that shifted a few in its time.
Little did we know that Naoya Inoue was about to bring the hammer down in round 2, ending this bout before it had even really begun.
He's worked exceptionally hard as well for this fight.
Just look at how he sprung up out of that stool. This man was very clearly ready for war, and he was not going to wait any longer to punish this opponent. This was a different level of intensity from Inoue in round 2, like he had studied Rodriguez's movement enough in round 1 to know that he was doomed in the second. And sure enough, the results spoke for themselves. This was the first time Rodriguez had been down.
For the first time in his career, Rodriguez in the second. He'll count in the corner right above us.
And this is where the karma came into play.
Here comes Inoue. Oh, he's got into the body. Oh, what a...
Rodriguez knew he was in an unwinnable situation here.
Oh, this is unbelievable for Inoue. Third time he's gone down.
All Rodriguez could do was sit there and take it. And the way he managed to serve up some justice was truly awe-inspiring. Naoya Inoue had not only done an amazing job here, but he also defended his father's honor.
The mini Mike Tyson. What?
Inoue simply had too much power.
Shuddered. Here is the first knockdown, Carl. That was a great shot.
He was light years ahead of him from the opening bell, and it took him less than 5 minutes to prove just how superior he truly was.
Unbelievable power for 118 pounds.
There are levels to the boxing game, and Emmanuel Rodriguez should have known better than to elevate the stakes when he didn't have the skills to show for it.
The fight, but he wanted to continue. Rodriguez is a proud Puerto Rican.
We can't speak for Inoue's dad, but he must have been proud of his son's reaction and response here.
His opinion, Manny Rodriguez in no position to continue. Therefore, the winner, progressing to...
So, these were the times Naoya Inoue obliterated cocky fighters with his ferocious precision.
This is unbelievable.
Comment below
Sacks into the ropes again, and Lewis...
which one was your favorite, and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Goodbye, have a good day.